Hello and welcome students. Today we are going to continue with chapter 4, Structure of the Earth. This is the second part of the chapter. In this module we will learn about the concentric layers of the earth. So here we will learn the layers that forms the internal structure of the earth. This is the diagram. Here you can see core, the innermost layer, and above which lies the mantle, the layer in the middle, and the uppermost layer is known as crust. This layer is known as crust. So crust is the outermost layer, and then the middle layer is mantle, and the innermost layer is core. Students, these layers are further subdivided. So let's learn about them. If you see this diagram, you can see crust is the uppermost or the outermost layer of the earth. Here you can see this is the thin layer which is solid in state. Now next is mantle. You can see mantle is in two parts, the upper mantle and the lower mantle. So the mantle can be divided into upper mantle and lower mantle. The upper mantle can be divided into two parts, the upper part of upper mantle and the lower part of upper mantle. This is the lower part of the upper mantle, and this is the lower mantle. So students, I hope you have understood. The crust is the thin layer at the top. This is thinnest of all the three layers. Then is mantle. Mantle is divided into two, upper mantle and lower mantle. Upper mantle is divided into two, upper part of upper mantle and lower part of upper mantle. And this is the lower mantle. So children, we will discuss this again in the same module. Let's proceed. The next layer, innermost layer, is core. Core can be divided into outer core and the inner core. So the outer core is in liquid or semi-molten state because it does not experience so much of pressure, whereas the inner core is solid in spite of experiencing very high temperature, extremely high temperature. The inner core is in solid state because of the pressure by the overlying layers, the crust, the mantle and the outer core. They exert pressure on the inner core. That's why it is in solid state. So students, now we learn about the discontinuities. So discontinuities simply mean the zone of transition or the boundary, we can say. So Mohorovic discontinuity, it marks the boundary between the upper mantle and the crust. So the boundary between crust and the upper mantle is called the Mohorovic discontinuity. Here you can see. The next one is Gutenberg discontinuity. So this marks the boundary between lower mantle and outer core. So the boundary between the lower mantle and the outer core is called Gutenberg discontinuity. So students, this is all about the layers of the earth in general and about the discontinuities. Now let's learn about each layer. So we'll start with the crust. The crust is the outermost layer of the earth. So children, yes, the crust is the outermost layer of the earth, also known as lithosphere. The crust is also known as lithosphere. So we have learned a lot of things about lithosphere in the introduction video in the last module of this previous module of this chapter. So in this chapter we'll understand what exactly lithosphere is, which part of the earth is called lithosphere. So children, the crust in general is known as lithosphere and its average thickness is 60 km and it forms less than 1% of the earth. So you can imagine how thin it is. It is the thinnest of all the layers. Now the crust can be divided into two parts. The Sial, that is the continental crust, mostly made up of silicon. Si stands for silicon and Al stands for aluminium. So the Sial is mostly made up of silicon and aluminium. There are other minerals also, elements, but these are most common. And the Sima is the oceanic crust. This is made up of silicon and magnesium. So these are the most common elements that forms this layer. So Sial is the continental crust and Sima is the oceanic crust. So the crust has two parts. You can see Sial forming the continent and Sima forming the ocean floor. You can see the difference in density also. So students, if a question comes to distinguish between these two, we can easily write several points. First point would be Sial is the continental crust and Sima is the oceanic crust. Sial's density you can mention, that is 2.7, and Sima it is 3. It is more denser, so Sima is below the Sial. And children, the third point we can write that Sima is made up of silicon and magnesium mostly, whereas Sial is mostly made up of silicon and aluminium. So these are the differences between Sial and Sima. Both are part of crust. Sial is continental crust, whereas Sima is the oceanic crust. So children's few things written about Sial. The uppermost layer of the crust consisting of silicates and aluminium, and on an average the thickness of Sial is 25 kilometers. The continents are composed mainly of lighter rocks, silicon and aluminium. Therefore, Sial is thick over continent and very thin over the ocean. So, Sial is thin over the ocean, whereas thick over the continents, because the part of Sial over continent is formed of lighter rock material. Now, especially the Pacific Ocean, over which the Sial is thin. The average density of Sial is 2.7 gram per cubic centimeter. Now children, about Sima. Sima is the name for the lower layer of the Earth's crust, and this is made mostly of magnesium and silicate minerals, and the oceanic crust is named as Sima. The name Sima was taken from the first two letters of silica and magnesium. So I hope you have understood, children. Let's proceed. So here's a question. What are the major differences between Sial and Sima? Children, we have already discussed. Sial consists of silicon and aluminium and is the uppermost layer, continental crust, whereas Sima is composed of silicon and magnesium. It is the second layer and which forms the ocean floor. So these are the differences. Children, I hope now we have understood about the crust. Now let's move to the next layer, the middle layer of the earth, that is the mantle. Let's see the diagram. So the thinnest layer, crust, we have learnt about it. Now where is mantle exactly? So children, I told you mantle has two parts, upper mantle and lower mantle. This is the upper mantle. You can see a boundary is there because upper mantle is divided into 1 and 2. Upper part of upper mantle, I will write like this, upper part of upper mantle, and this is lower part of upper mantle. So children, the upper mantle is divided into 2 and the lower mantle is not divided. It is a single layer. So this is about the division of the mantle. So if you see this diagram, this will make your concept very clear. So crust is the first layer. The mantle, which is divided into 2 parts. So this is the upper part of upper mantle, which I have marked 2. And this is the lower part of upper mantle. So this is the upper mantle and this is the lower mantle. So students, I hope this is clear. So children, we have discussed about the word lithosphere. So what do you mean by lithosphere? Lithosphere consists of the crust and the upper part of upper mantle. So 1 and 2 together forms the lithosphere. And the point number 3, the third portion, that is lower part of upper mantle, this forms the asthenosphere. Children, don't worry, we'll learn more about asthenosphere. So just remember, crust and the upper part of upper mantle forms the lithosphere and the lower part of upper mantle forms the asthenosphere. Let's proceed. The Earth's mantle is a layer of silicate rock between crust and core. Its mass is 67% of the mass of the Earth. And see the thickness, children. It's approximately 2800 kilometers and it makes 84% of Earth's volume. So this is a thick layer. It is divided into two parts, upper mantle and lower mantle. The crust and the upper part of upper mantle together forms the lithosphere. Children, just now I have taught you the crust and the upper part of upper mantle. The upper part of upper mantle and the crust, both of them together forms the lithosphere. And the lower part of upper mantle forms the asthenosphere. So children, let's learn more. See, the lower part of upper mantle is known as asthenosphere. Now children, a question must be arising in your mind that ma'am has taught a lot of things about lithosphere, but what is asthenosphere? Why we are discussing about this? So the answer is, asthenosphere, on this floats the lithosphere. Lithosphere consists of solid blocks, whereas the asthenosphere is not in solid state, it is in molten state. So those lithosphere, the lithospheric blocks, the continental crust and the oceanic crust, they float on the asthenosphere. That's why we have learnt about the plate tectonics, that the earth is made up of lithospheric slabs which are floating. So on which they are floating? They are actually floating on a layer which is in molten state, which is just below it, known as asthenosphere. Students, I hope this is clear. Let's proceed. The low velocity zone occur close to the boundary of lithosphere and asthenosphere. So where there is a boundary, the zone of transition. So here this is a low velocity zone because the velocity of the earthquake waves reduces the low velocity of the earthquake waves. When the earthquake waves travel through solid and then suddenly they experience a layer where it is not solid, rather in molten state. So definitely the density changes. So the velocity of the earthquake waves also changes when the nature of the rocks changes from solid to molten state. Now the lithosphere is in solid state. Remember children, I told you just now, we have discussed so much. Lithosphere, which consists of crust and upper part of upper mantle, it is in solid state, whereas asthenosphere is in semi-molten or partially molten state. So therefore the lithosphere floats over the asthenosphere. So students, let's learn more. So the lower mantle behaves like solid. Children, we'll here this is the lower mantle. This behaves like solid because of the extreme pressure exerted by the overlying layers, and that's why it is known as mesosphere. It is somewhere in between, so it is also known as mesosphere, and it behaves like solid because of the pressure exerted by the overlying layers. Now students, a question is there. Why is the lower part of upper mantle known as low velocity zone? So we have already discussed, because here this is a boundary between the lithosphere and asthenosphere, or the boundary between the and asthenosphere, in which the velocity of the earthquake waves reduces. Low velocity, it becomes less, the speed reduces. So that's why this is known as low velocity zone. Now students, the difference between lithosphere and asthenosphere, let's learn. The lithosphere and the asthenosphere are parts of the earth and are made up of similar material. So this is similarity, right? So what is the difference? The difference is Lithosphere is it is made up of the Earth's outermost layer, the crust and the uppermost portion of the upper mantle, whereas asthenosphere is the lower portion of the upper mantle. So this is the difference. Lithosphere is in solid state, whereas asthenosphere is in molten or partially molten state. Why does lithosphere float over the asthenosphere? So children, I have told you several times that lithosphere floats over the asthenosphere. What is the reason? The lithosphere is solid and less denser compared to the asthenosphere. Therefore, asthenosphere being in molten state and more denser allows the lithosphere to float over or move on it. So children, this is how the lithosphere floats over the asthenosphere. Now students, there is a concept of tectonic plates. So what are tectonic plates? Just before this, I was telling you about tectonic plates. So actually, if you see the map of the world, then you will see several continents and oceans. So the ocean floor and the continents, they are the part of lithosphere, and they are divided into several blocks. You can see them in the form of different continents, and the oceans, their ocean floor. So these tectonic, we say these lithospheric slabs to be tectonic plates, and they are moving over the asthenosphere, and the reason is said to be the convectional current in the mantle. In the mantle there is a convectional current which keep moving. They form a current, a loop, and because of which their impact is on the surface, that the lithospheric slabs or the tectonic plates keep moving over the asthenosphere. So these tectonic plates are also called lithospheric plate. Is a massive irregularly shaped slab of solid rock. So children, assume the continents, they are very massive, right? The ocean floor, very massive. So they are actually tectonic plates. So there are several large and small plates, and all of them are moving. The tectonic plates means the lithospheric slabs. They are moving over the asthenosphere. And why they are moving? Because of the convectional current in the mantle. So the plate size can vary from a few hundred to thousands of kilometers across. The Pacific and the Antarctic plates are the largest. So children, the Pacific and the Antarctic plates, they occupy a very large area. There are several large and small plates, and they are moving. So how many tectonic plates? So here we will find out. Tectonic plates are defined as major and minor plates depending on their size. There are a total of 7 major plates which cover 95% of the total Earth's surface. So this is about the tectonic plates. How thick are tectonic plates? So the thickness, tectonic plates on the Earth are of two types, continental and oceanic. Continental tectonic plates are, their thickness ranges from 30 to 50 kilometer, while the oceanic plates, they are much thinner because they consist of the ocean floor. So they range from 5 to 10 kilometer in thickness. So children, this is about the thickness of the tectonic plates. This is about how many plates are there. 7 plates occupying 95% of the Earth's surface. And we have learned here what are tectonic plates. So children, this is the information about tectonic plates. Now, how does the plate move? So the upper part of the asthenosphere is believed to be the zone upon which the great rigid and brittle lithospheric plates of the Earth crust move. So children, we have already discussed this, that the lithospheric plates or tectonic plates, they move on the asthenosphere. So this is how the plates move. And I have told you the reason also, the convectional currents. How does the asthenosphere allow tectonic plates to move? So I have explained about the convectional current. Heat from deep within the Earth is thought to keep the asthenosphere malleable, lubricating and undersides of the Earth's tectonic plates and allowing them to move. So children, because of the extreme heat, convectional currents are generated and the asthenosphere remains malleable and lubricating. And because of these properties, it allows the lithosphere to float on it. Convectional currents generated within the asthenosphere push the magma upward through volcanic vents and spread to create new crust. Now children, there are several examples. If you see a particular ocean, let's take an example of Atlantic Ocean. So if you see the Atlantic Ocean in the map, you will find a S shape. This is the mid-Atlantic ridge. Sharp edge, steep slope mountain are there on the ocean floor of the Atlantic Ocean. And we can see the top of the ridge outside the water. So this form roughly S shape. So how this has formed? When there was a crack in the lithospheric slab, magma came out from the mantle and has spread and cooled down to form this mountain or sharp-edged ridges, mid-Atlantic ridge. So children, this is how the asthenosphere allows the tectonic plates to move. Now what causes the plates to move? Plates at our planet surface move because of the intense heat, and children, I have told you the reason, the convectional current. Look at this diagram. See the convectional current, how they move. The current is moving up, and here the current is then turning, going back again, forming a loop. Here also you can see it's forming a loop. Here two currents are moving in two different directions. So you can see there is a formation of mid-Atlantic ridge. Just now I gave you this example. The magma came out, there was a crack, and the magma came out cooled to form the sharp, steep sloped mountains on the ocean floor of the Atlantic Ocean. So mid-Atlantic ridge has formed in this way. But there are places where two currents are merging. You can see merging. So when the currents are merging, one continental portion will override the another one. One lithospheric plate will override, and the another one will be, a part of it will be lost in the, will get melted, and it will be lost in the mantle. So this is how fold mountains are formed. So children, the convectional current, they converge sometime, they come towards each other, and sometimes they move away from each other. And this is how the converging plate boundaries here and the diverging plate boundaries are formed. So this is the reason why the lithospheric plates, or we can say the tectonic plates, move. Now students, we come to the third and the innermost layer of the earth, that is the core. Let's proceed. Look at the diagram. Core is divided into two, outer core and the inner core. Outer core is in molten state, whereas inner core is in solid state. The reason, you know, the inner core experiences extensive pressure, a lot of immense pressure from the overlying layers. And that's why inner core is in solid state. Earth's core is the innermost layer of the earth, divided into outer and inner core. Outer core is in molten state due to high temperature, but inner core is in solid state due to the extreme pressure. So here, no doubt, there is very high temperature, but the pressure felt is more. So when the pressure exceeds temperature, the inner core becomes very compact and in solid state. The ball-shaped core lies beneath the cool brittle crust and mostly solid mantle. So this is a statement telling us that the core is the innermost layer, which is below the crust and the mantle. Temperature of the core is about 5000 degrees Celsius. So children, we cannot even imagine. This is so very high. The temperature is extremely high. Iron present in the core loses its magnetic properties due to extremely high temperature. This is an important fact we should know, that iron in the core loses its magnetic property because of the extremely high temperature. The core has a radius of 3500 km, and this layer is composed of nickel and ferrum. That's why it is named NIFE, N-I-F-E, stands for nickel and ferrum. According to scientists, due to the rotation of the earth, electric currents originate in the liquid core, which are responsible for the formation of magnetic field around the earth. So the scientists, according to the latest studies, they have said that the electric currents originate into the liquid core, which is the outer core, and they are responsible for the formation of magnetic field around the earth. So there are some questions about core, and with the help of these we'll understand it better. Why the core is called barysphere. So this is a new term. The innermost layer of the earth is called core or barysphere due to the presence of nickel and ferrum. This layer produces Earth's magnetic field, and that's why the term barysphere is used. Now children, here I have just put a question which is related to the chapter, and it's a part of knowledge booster. So let's see. Oxygen and silicon are the two most important elements that are also the most abundant elements found on the crust of the earth. So students, oxygen and silicon are the most abundant. They are highest in percentage. These are the two elements found on the surface of the earth. While oxygen constitute 46.6%, silicon is the second most abundant with 27.7% in the part of the crust. So thank you students. That's all about the concentric layers of the earth.